Hi, and happy end of October. It has been a beautiful month. I live in the Pacific Northwest and it has just been gorgeous. It did rain on the day we went to the pumpkin patch. It was also raining on the very first day that I have ever gone mushroom foraging. It's apparently a pretty popular hobby here. I had never done it. I feel like all the mushrooms just look the same. But I now have a paper bag with some chanterelles and lobsters sitting in the fridge waiting to be cooked, hopefully this evening. And if I have another video come out after this one, then you'll know I didn't die from eating the mushrooms I foraged. I say I foraged, I found one of them, and then the people we were with who knew what they were doing and what they were looking for gave us the rest of our bag full. So, to start, I have not been very happy with Oathbringer and my efforts to create content from it. I do not have time to read this whole book, but I'm not enjoying trying to read little bits and pieces. It is not the same as the first one, The Way of Kings, where Bridge 4 is its own separate thing with separate chapters. Without giving spoilers for this one, it's just way harder to pick through and find the parts that matter, but also, you can see I haven't gotten very far. In all this, there hasn't been much, which I think is what I'm discovering is part of why I'm not as fond of Oathbringer. The first two books have a lot more of Bridge 4, which I love about the Stormlight Archive. Making this Bridge 4 series is something I really wanted to do, but at this point, because I'm not enjoying trying to skim only parts, it's starting to feel like homework and like a task that I have to do instead of I get to read books and then make content about them. I'm having a hard time. I am not saying that I'm giving up and deciding not to make Bridge 4 videos for Oathbringer and Rhythm of War. It might just take me longer than I might have liked. And if I had just started sooner, I could have done a full reread. Just have lots of other stuff going on, so that's not happening. So anyway, that's how that's going. I did finish Magician Master at the top of the month. That was just a good, pleasant read, and I'm glad I did it. Very nostalgic, still enjoyed it. In this reread, a chunk of it has fallen out. So next time I reread this in several years, I don't know, maybe I'll treat myself to new editions. But once I finished that, I had some extra time, so I did go ahead and start Fool's Errand by Robin Hobb. And I've been vlogging my read, which I wanted to do partly just for fun, but also because this is kind of further on in an already established world. And I think sometimes for a book like this that's farther along in a series, which The Realm of the Elderlings is pretty long, instead of like a deep dive character video, just going in and talking about the things as I go might be better for the audiences who continue on through this long of a series. I will say I'm really enjoying getting back into this world and with this writer. It's been a little while since I read the Farseer trilogy, so there were definitely some things I forgot. Fitz will say something that happened before and I'll be like, oh yeah, that really traumatic thing happened. This is the first book in the third trilogy of The Realm of the Elderlings. So you have the Farseer trilogy, the Live Ship Traders trilogy, and then this one, which goes back to the characters from that first trilogy. Fitz is the main character of this one. Even though it's called the Tawnyman trilogy and the name is Fool's Errand, the Fool is not the main character, Fitz is. This picks up after that first trilogy, so Fitz is the narrator telling back on his old life, and it ends after he's been settled for a while, when he's a little bit older. So this one picks up after he's already been settled and living quietly for some time. And it's kind of a slow start, which I felt like was fine. I didn't mind that at all. And because Fitz had already been through so much when he was younger, you kind of wonder, how is he going to get drawn back in this time? Because there's still 2 more books after this one, and then I think another trilogy that maybe involves Fitz, so you know there's still a lot more that's going to happen. He's going to get drawn back in somehow. So I've really been enjoying my time back in this series. I only made it about halfway, almost exactly halfway, before my next book arrived. The new release that I had been waiting for. The Fury of the Gods by John Gwynne. Is that not a lovely cover? The creature itself looks fierce and epic, and I'm loving these colors on it. kind of love the big floppy book. Super satisfying. Like the second one in the series, this one also just starts right after the book before it. It's book 3 in the Bloodsworn saga. I believe it's the final one. I think this is just a trilogy. So these 3 will be the Bloodsworn saga. And like with Fool's Errand, it feels good to get back into this world with this author. I didn't read them as long ago as I did the Farseer trilogy, so it's not like coming back after a long time. I read the first 2 of these earlier this year. But still, once you've read a couple of books by the same author, coming back to that author again just has that feeling of familiarity, that cozy feeling of, I like this story, let's continue. I am currently on page 128, and I have been busy reading and busy with other things, so though I am vlogging this, I have not sat down to film my thoughts on it yet, which I am planning to do after this. There's been a lot of action so far. There have been some things that at the end of the last book, I was like, I'm gonna need to know what happens here. A couple of those have happened, but still continuing on, not sure how it's going to end. I have a couple of things that I'm worried about that might happen, and the things that I, like, my predictions about it or whatever are not positive. The things that I'm like, oh, this is gonna happen, isn't it? Are like characters that I think are probably going to die by the end. It's just that kind of series and that kind of book. You know people are gonna die, but who is it gonna be? So back into the Norse-inspired Viking fantasy world. I got my fresh bottle of mead to drink with it, trying not to drink it too fast because it's a long book. And going into the TBR portion of November, at this point, only 100 and so pages in, I am starting with finishing The Fury of the Gods. For the rest of November, I'd like to finish this one and finish Fool's Errand. I'm not sure how long that will take, and I don't know if I should plan to read anything else or not. If I do, I might read something short, because really soon on into December is Wind and Truth, Book 5 of the Stormlight Archive. I don't want to be in the middle of a really big book that I have to take a break from, but a couple of shorter options I have that I may or may not read at that point. From my recent book haul video, the Halcyon Blythe story, my husband did order me the first one. So by the time I finish these other books, I'll have the one that comes before this one, Midship Wizard Halcyon Blythe. And if it's as short as this one, which is the second one, Dragon Frigate Wizard Halcyon Blythe, this one's less, no, it's more than 300 pages. 320 pages, pretty short in the realm of fantasy books. And then a book I just got today. I was not book shopping. I did not intend to even look at books. I was shopping for shoes, and my son said, how about we try Goodwill? I found a couple of other books that I have been wanting to try, and then this one I've heard a lot about. Don't know if I'll like it or not, but I will try it, and that is The Bear and the Nightingale by Catherine Arden. It seems like it will be perfect for winter. It takes place in the cold of the Russian wilderness. Something about an evil stepmother. There's dangerous gifts she has concealed to protect her family from a threat sprung to life from her nurse's most frightening tales. Also not particularly long, coming in at, this has a glossary, author's note, glossary, and a reader's guide. So this is like book club book, I guess. Anyway, a couple of shorter options to squeeze in between big fat fantasy books. Both of these are in the 500 to 600 page scope, and then Wind and Truth is probably going to be well over 1,000 pages. Whew. Thank you to my patrons. I appreciate you guys a lot. I hope you have all had a great reading month in October and that will continue on into November. Pick out those cozy books for the cold, cozy winter reading months. Happy reading. Bye.